and welcome back to the NWA 1984 project. I'm your host, Alex G, and with me is Matt Riley. How you doing tonight, Matt?
Oh, I'm dandy.
All right, El Dandy, perhaps. El Dandy being a heartthrob luchador. But who are you to doubt El Dandy?
That's right.
So on this episode, we're going to have another big-time event, this time from Portland, Oregon. Main event of this show will be Bruiser Brody taking on Dr. D, David Schultz, for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And that should be a barn burner. I always wanted to see, I don't think we got footage of the infamous, I don't think we ever got footage of the Lawler and Brody versus Savage and Dr. D match that happened in Memphis. But that match, I can only assume, was fucking amazeballs.
Right.
So, guys, we're going to talk about a lot of the goings-on. Again, we've been gone for a couple of weeks here due to mostly technical difficulties. The issue with the internet that I have is every time it rains, it doesn't work very well for some reason. At least I can't record well when it cuts in and out and stuff like that. So
Stop recording outside.
So, we've been gone for a couple of weeks, but one of the things I wanted to talk to you, like right off the bat, and, we are in 1984. So I want to talk a little 1984 wrestling here for a few minutes. And one of the things that I was thinking to myself the other day was, Vince went in and did what he did, and he acquired all this talent, Hogan, Orndorff, Dr. D, Roddy Piper, Greg Valentine, like that first wave of guys that he brought in for his national expansion. And there's a couple of notable names not on that list. And I've never been able to get a straight answer on, did Vince McMahon approach Ric Flair to come in 1984, late 83, early 84? And did he ever approach Dusty Rhodes to come in? Because if you pull Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, from Jim Crockett Promotions, they're dead. It's over. They're finished right off the bat. There is no war. There ain't nothing. It's all over. And Matt, how do you think a Nature Boy Ric Flair would have fit in, in 1984 WWF?
I think he would have been fine because they hadn't gone quite to the route of everyone's going to be enormous.
Right.
And he had the size, so he was fine. But I think looking for those kind of outlandish characters, it would have fit in. Although I will say he got more outlandish in the mid-'80s as he went along. So,
Oh, I definitely agree. Definitely agree with that. And it would have been interesting to see. Maybe they would have put him with Buddy Rogers, perhaps, because Buddy Rogers is still around. He's still managing Jimmy Snuka at this time. And, Flair would have been a really interesting character in 84. Obviously, he would have been a killer on a promo. He was known nationally, so you can place Flair anywhere, and he's going to draw because he's been touring NWA champion for the last couple of years. Minus a couple of months here and there when he drops it. He drops the belt, but he's nationally known. So I'm always curious about why didn't they actively pursue Flair in 83/84? They did pursue him in 88, and obviously they got him in 1992 or 1991. They did get him in 1991 after the Jim Herd debacle. But I thought it was interesting. I know Flair had a couple of matches at the Garden. I mean, he was like on the first or second match wrestling Pete Sanchez, early in his career. But it's curious about why wouldn't you reach out to Flair? I mean, I don't know if Vince said, I don't know, he's too tight with, Jim Crockett, and he's too much of an NWA guy. But I think if the money was right, you would have went, for sure. And the other notable name I want to talk about is Dusty Rhodes. You pulled Dusty Rhodes, and not only for his, charisma, his in-ring talent, and the fact that he's a superstar, behind the scenes, he could have been a great help to Vince as he's nationally expanding. Now, he may have spent too much of Vince's money, maybe put him out of business like he did for Jim Crockett, but who knows? But, the guy invented, Starrcade, and he invented, Bunkhouse Stampede, War Games, and all this stuff. And I wonder how Vince would have took, Dusty's ideas in 84, 85, and so on and so forth, maybe as a replacement for George Scott, as his booker. Because Vince used to have bookers. George Scott was probably the last official one. But it was always it was Vince and George Scott. Then it was Vince and Pat Patterson. Then it was Vince, J.J. Dillon, and Pat Patterson. And it was like that for a very long time. Eventually they would bring in Bruce Pritchard, he would come in for creative, and Jim Cornette's and Vince Russo's would come in. But it was always, Vince was always the booker. essentially. So I don't know. Maybe Dusty would have tried to put himself over Hogan. Who knows? That'd been interesting. Because not for nothing, if you look at the landscape of 1983, the biggest star of professional wrestling in 1983 was Hulk Hogan. I know people are going to yell at me and be mad about that, but that's true. Look what he was doing in the AWA. Look what he was doing in Japan. He was already doing. He was on Johnny Carson before he even went to WWF. So he was already a pretty big star, the biggest star in professional wrestling at the time. And I don't think there's anyone that at that point in history that you can say, oh, we're going to replace Hogan with Ricky Steamboat and try to go national and have the same level of success. Now, I would say Dusty Rhodes probably would have been that guy like 8 years prior, though. Dusty did strong business in New York when he went and had those matches with superstar Billy Graham. Dusty Rhodes was known off the Florida TV because we used to get the Florida TV in New York. So he would have been a viable candidate maybe if you didn't want to go with Backlund, you would want Dusty instead. He wasn't going to have the matches that Backlund had, but even those Backlund matches became kind of rough to watch as the years went on. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm always curious about why they didn't bring in those particular guys. Now they brought in everybody else. Like they brought in Roddy Piper.
Maybe they were that much more loyal, I guess. Maybe because it could be they had the booking aspect to him, and they saw him as a rival, not a potential boss.
Yeah, I mean, even when they brought him in later on in '89, he wasn't doing anything behind the scenes whatsoever. In fact, he wasn't doing much of anything behind the scenes until a couple years before his death. Now, I will say this, and people might get mad at me for saying this, but Dusty Rhodes' final gift to the wrestling world was NXT. That's his baby. I know Triple H gets a lot of credit for that, and it's deserved. But if you ask any of those core performers, your Baileys, your Becky Lynches, your Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, they're always going to talk about Dusty. Hell, they have a tag team tournament named after him, for Christ's sakes. And he was the guy. His work in developmental is the reason why we have. I think it's the main reason, other than Triple H finally getting the WWE to invest a lot of money into it, is the reason why NXT is such a great show.
Yeah,
and it's probably, at least from the WWE standpoint, it is their best show, hands down. Like those takeovers are always fucking amazing, and their TV is actually really, really good. Very consumable. It's an hour. You don't have to sit there for 3 hours and watch trash like you do with the other shows. Their pay-per-views are really solid. It has a logical conclusion. You're excited to see the next one, and it's not overdone like the other TV shows are. So, Dusty should get a lot of credit for it. I don't know if people will give him credit for it, but he's definitely deserved. So that's for sure. In addition to that, I want to talk about Matt. Recently we have a good friend of ours, Wes Nichols, who has a page on Facebook. He does belt raffles.
Yes.
He hooked up with this belt maker, and he's able to do really nice replica belts. And what Wes does, he puts them in a raffle, so everyone pays their $6 or $8. If your number comes up on the Powerball, you win the belt. So essentially, you can get like this $200 belt for $6 if you're very, very lucky. So they got a lot of cool belts on there. I actually purchased a belt from them, and it's typical me. It's like I always got to be off the beaten path. I'm always someone who does things a little bit different. If you're looking,
let me see if I can guess. You got the Pacific Northwest Championship.
I mean, I could have, but but for me, it's like I could have went with Big Gold. I mean, you could have gone with the Winged Eagle. You could have gone with United States Championship. You could have gone with a spinner belt if you want to be a jerk about it. You could have gone with these maybe more well-known titles. But when I look at, like, if I want to get a belt, and I'm not gonna wear this belt. I'm not gonna be going to my local, WWF house show and wearing the belt because I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's weird to me. But to each their own. I want to have this prominently displayed on my wall in my house, right? So the belt I was most excited for is the WWF Big Green Belt. Now, for those of you who don't know who the Big Green Belt was, if you watched the match where Hogan beats the Iron Sheik to win his first WWF Championship, it's that belt. So that belt wasn't around for very long. Like Backlund had it, he dropped it to Sheik. Sheik dropped it to Hogan. Hogan took that belt to Japan for a little while, and then they replaced the belt. So it's round. It has green leather straps on it. It has the side plates are all the past champions. There's only like 8 because of wrestling back then. When you have Bruno hold the belt for like 10 years, there's not going to be a lot of champions. You couldn't do that nowadays. There'd be somebody like you need like 8 belts because there's so many champions. But so yeah, I went with the big green belt. Other belts that I would like to see in the future would be like the Pacific Northwest Heavyweight Championship. That's an interesting looking belt. You have the NWA National Championship, which is another interesting looking belt. The Florida Heavyweight Championship belt. It's always a cool looking belt. The UWF Championship belt, that one is really cool. Actually, the old Ring of Honor belt, I don't know if you've ever seen the old Ring of Honor belt where it has the ROH and the red letters. That's a takeoff of that old UWF belt, so that's cool. I don't like any of the new belts that Ring of Honor has. I think they're all trash, but what are you going to do? They're always, to be honest, I don't like the IWGP Championships all that much, to be completely honest. I like the older ones. The older ones are really cool. I think they look a little gaudy to me. It's too much going on. Even the AEW belt when Brett presented it at Double or Nothing, I'm not a really big fan of that belt. I like the classic styling. So, and of course, I would probably purchase the NWA Dome Glow Championship belt too, because of its significance and the fact that it's still currently in use as well. It's a really cool belt. So Matt, what are some of your favorite belts?
I liked, a few. My favorites would include the U.S. belt Tully Blanchard had, Magnum TJ. I was a fan of that one. I liked WGP Championship belt. I'm a nerd. IC belt, Savage Head.
With the red logo on it?
Yeah. That was a good one. Flair's big gold belt I was never a huge fan of, but...
there's a variation of that belt that's very rare. It's called the Vegas Big Gold Belt. Now, Vince and the WWF commissioned a new big gold belt for Flair in 1991. It's never seen the light of day. It was never on television. So there's only pictures of it. And it's very similar to the big gold, but it's different. And I think that was really cool. I like to get that belt because no one ever saw it. We only have a couple of pictures of it. That's it. That was pretty cool. Matt, what are your thoughts on the current Universal Championship and the WWE Championship with the big fucking W on it?
Well, I think they're okay, but because they're spending so much time on each other's shows, it's kind of just wasting a time of why do you have 2 belts anymore? You're just making it one big show. There's so many problems in that place, anyways.
It goes to
the belts,
the wild cardness of the brand split and. Exactly what we said they shouldn't do is exactly what they did. If you go back and look at the archive, they said, don't do that shit. And they went and did that shit. So before we get to WWE, I want to talk about Double or Nothing because we didn't get an opportunity to talk about Double or Nothing.
That's right.
And the pay-per-view in general. And I want to start by saying this right off the bat. I liked the show. I enjoyed this show. Whatever criticisms I have, they're nitpicks, right? They're just criticisms because we want AEW, we want the shows to be to be as best as they can be. You know what I mean? So, for their first show ever, I thought it was a very good effort. But there is some things that I take issue with. But that's every show in the history of wrestling. There's not a show throughout the history of professional wrestling can I go back and say that's a perfect show. Every match is 5 stars.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. It just does not exist. So I don't want people getting upset at us if we say anything negative about Double or Nothing or AEW in general. Matt, what are your overall thoughts on the show?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I think it got better over time. What I liked about it was the variety in that there was different styles of matches as well. It wasn't just all one style. I thought that the Dustin Cody match was
phenomenal.
Yeah, it was so great. I also liked the Lucha Brothers versus Young Bucks, and of course the Jericho match was a good one to watch. And I think of course the debut of Moxley was what everyone was talking about. Was also well played out. talk about getting the most. Like they got like 4 promos out of him for like setting up 4 matches. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, great. I do think you're going to need to see more than the shtick from some of the guys that are kind of one-trick ponies. Like that Battle Royal was nice, but like a lot of the guys in that Battle Royal have to show they have more than just their little
Yeah, I
gimmick.
want to talk. Let's start with the battle royal. Now they had a 21-man casino battle royal. Now the winner receives a shot at the AEW World Championship against the winner of the Kenny Omega Chris Jericho match.
Right.
And I think MJF stole everything. He stole the show. If anyone came out of this show a bigger star than they did coming in, it was MJF. He is phenomenal. He might be the #1 heel in the entire wrestling world right now. I love him. I think he's great. He's a fellow Long Islander, so I know like a lot of guys who are just like him. I know guys like him that I went to high school with, college with, and in my general travels. They're so obnoxious and they're so over the top and they're so extra. I relate to him in a certain way where like I want to punch him right in the face. We talked about the shtick. I watched Orange Cassidy WrestleMania weekend, and it was fun. It's fun. Okay, that's cute, right? Good stuff. Enjoyed it. Because again, in the Battle Royal, it's weird because he wasn't even entered in Battle Royal, but that's a whole other weird thing. And I like Orange Cassidy, but what do you do when he's on TV for 6 weeks? Is he going to still get that kind of reaction, or are people going to get tired of him very, very quickly?
I think with a guy like, I was thinking about that. We talked about this a little bit ago, and I was thinking, I think you treat him kind of how they treated Mick Foley towards the end, where he'd come out for special appearances.
Yeah.
Even back when he was wrestling. But again, I think if you have him out there every week, it's going to lose its luster because you're going to have people watching each week. Sure, that's going to be your core audience.
Yeah.
But the casual fans, if they see this, will be like, "Oh, that's bizarre. That's crazy." You know, it's hysterical. But I think it's one of those. And kind of go back to my SNL pet peeve is that SNL will find a good, funny skit and beat it to death.
Yeah.
Just overuse. And then it doesn't lose, and then you get rid of them, or they do a movie. So I think with Orange Cassidy, you'd have to make it either have him, and this goes back to my theory of having a wide variety for the audience.
Yeah,
you could have someone having that ridiculous feud, and to kind of juxtaposition for the show we're doing, Bugsy McGraw. Remember him?
Yeah, I love Bugsy.
Right, insane. Jimmy Valiant or Johnny Valiant. Was it Jimmy Valiant?
It was handsome.
Right? Crazy, out of control. To a degree, JYD, but he was more of a legit wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't want to say legit, but legit threat. But then you have that guy. You're not having Bugsy McGraw fight Ric Flair.
No.
Or if you do, it's in a very special matchup. But you could have him fight other people and make a mockery of the business in certain ways, according to people.
Shit, fucking Jimmy Valiant feud with Paul Jones for like 10 years and fucking drew money.
Yeah.
You know what they do with Jimmy Valiant? They would put him on C shows and he would sell them out. So he'd be going to like your high school gyms and shit like that, and you only needed was Jimmy Valiant, and he would sell out everywhere he went. So every venue, and he'd be on the C show, and he was a mid-carder, clearly was a mid-carder. Yeah. But he was an interesting character enough where the fans loved him enough. And he also came back and forth enough where you started getting tired of him, he would leave. And then he'd come back. Like, he'd go to Memphis for a little while and come back. So he never got stale until, like, right at the end. And he was feuding with Paul Jones forever. And they did a lot of interesting stuff. But I don't know, like, because Jimmy would fight you. I don't know, like, you got to see a little bit more depth to Orange Cassidy's character, see what he can do. What does he do when he actually gets mad? What's he going to do when he actually has to work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it goes to, like, you're looking at this like, I don't know. Like, I thought, like, a guy like Luchasaurus, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah. That's interesting. And then you have Joey Janela's, of course. I think you could use a Joey Janela. Like, he likes to have, like, these freak show matches. Yes. Oh, it's going to be Joey Janela taking on Van Hammer. You know what I mean? And that you can have that on the show,
right?
And you can have that's that Joey Janela spot, right there. He's on fourth, but you got to keep those guys away from the main event, and You got to keep those guys away from your heavier angles. What you're doing at the end of the show, you want to have these heavy, heat-getting angles. That's not going to work. I say it's not going to work for a national audience, but let's be honest, right off the bat, we don't know what's going to work for a national audience anymore. Right? Because WWE's been doing the same old shit for 20 years, and maybe Orange Cassidy will work, and people won't get tired of him. Like, we don't know.
Well, I think it goes back to my point about I think you can have a multiverse of stars, and you can have that Boogie Woogie Man, Bugsy McGraw type guy. Now, what you could do with him too, if he can legit wrestle, you can always do the thing where he gets destroyed by somebody and they challenge, you're not in my league, and have him go out there and have a match where everyone goes, holy shit, he really can wrestle, but he chooses to do this dick shit for the fun, or like not Joey Ryan, but like be a dick, whatever, and you can play that into a character like, dude, if you really focus, you could be a good wrestler. He's like, I want to have fun, and like there's that turmoil. You can do that because I think they're going to approach it more of a behind the scenes type approach, kind of that blend of, I hope, the New Japan press conference approach.
Yeah.
They could do a show honestly, on the day after the show and do a press conference on YouTube.
Yeah.
And just have a clip of all the guys answering questions and have Wade Keller fly out, have various guys there to ask questions that are, and so it's not a total work, but you can start giving these guys some credibility too on the other side of the coin. I can see your point about him being potentially as a danger to the show, but I think
you're also running guys out there like Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt, who is very, very small. Don't think about it like for that very first show. Think about we've seen these guys 6 weeks on TV. Now what the fuck do we do with them? Well, and that's the danger, because I think they're gonna burn out very quickly, and then you have nothing for them. And those guys, Marcus Stunt, amazing athlete, great worker. Jungle Boy, amazing athlete, great worker. Like, don't fuck it up.
I think with those guys, what I would honestly think what they're doing right now is they're setting things up in motion. If they're smart, they're plotting things out, going, okay, we're going to have this storyline, that storyline, this, that, so they have people have things to go in directions. I think they're going to utilize YouTube way more than we realize, because they have that vehicle, or online media, whether it's like on demand, like, TNT on demand or whatever it may be, you can go and watch. Like, I think they're going to go in a lot of directions we don't see coming, because they want to have things that haven't been done. The WWE, for all their stuff, they put out a lot of junk. Yeah. Like I watched Stomping Grounds the other night. Not to jump ahead, but they had an Alexa Bliss 24 or 365 thing about her, journey through having injuries and everything else. And it was interesting, and they had a thing about Becky Lynch, and that was interesting. There's so much on there that they produced that is just fluff. That's just like ridiculous, silly fluff. And I'm not saying it has to all be serious, but the serious shit's what people want to, like I'm more of an Alexa Bliss fan now. I'm like, okay, I kind of root for her. Becky Lynch, I still don't like. I mean, I like her as a person, but her character I don't like. But I think they're going to have that capability to cross lines in the way WWE won't do. They wouldn't sit there and have Kane be like, I think they can do more with it. And I think the worry about them not having stuff after 6 weeks, I'm sure they're probably going to have things mapped out for a year.
I hope so.
Cody's smart. He's got, the Bucks are smart. They know what they're doing. They want to do things a bit differently. I wouldn't be surprised if they're planting seeds now for stuff to come back in a year from now. They love to do callbacks. It's like if you watch the latest BTE, they did if you didn't watch it or not, but they did a thing where Christopher Daniels did a callback to Family Guy throughout the show, where he's like holding his knee going, and that shit we do at work. Like there's some fun. They can incorporate so many fun things that honestly WWE is so out of touch. And we can talk about the whole Seth Rollins thinking he has to defend the show, but
let's talk about the rest of these matches. You had Kip Sabian versus Sammy Guevara. Now, I really like Sammy. I think he's going to be a star for the future, for sure. I think he's going to be phenomenal. Again, he's another guy I saw live WrestleMania weekend, and he has it. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a big, big-time player for them moving forward. After that, you got Soul Cal and Censor, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky who defeated the Strongheart Sema T-Hawk and El Lighterman. I like Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, and before Chris Jericho hangs it up, I want to see Chris Daniels versus Chris Jericho. Chris Daniels has been around for a long time. I think he debuted like in '94. He was supposed to be the higher power in the WWF before Vince took that role from him.
Really?
Yeah. So he's been around for a very long time. Never got the big opportunities in the WWF or he was signed to WCW at the end. WWF didn't take his contract after they closed, after they bought WCW. But Chris Daniels is always a guy that's always been around, and I want to see him get that big match with that big name on a big show. And I like SoCal Uncensored, but Christopher Daniels is a fucking phenomenal fucking worker. Watch his matches with Mojo, watch his matches with AJ Styles, and he should be there with those guys. And I want to see him get like a main event shot here, one last one, before he hangs it up. After that, we had the Fatal 4-Ways women's match. We had Dr. Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, Kylie Ray, and Awesome Kong. I didn't like the finish of this match. Now, if you recall the finish of the match, you had Nyla Rose who speared Awesome Kong into the stairs, and then the match went for like another 7 minutes. Like they're both just laying on the ground. And that finish needed to come quicker. It's not a tables on fire spot. You didn't fall off the top of a ladder. It shouldn't take you that long to come up from that. At the very least, have Awesome Kong make it to the apron and get like super kicked off the apron and then go into your finish. But that's my only beef with that. That's the whole thing about like modern wrestling that drives me crazy is that type of shit. Or in the battle royal when everyone's just laying down so two guys can do their spotlight spots in the middle of the ring. That drives me fucking nuts. Like no one's trying to do anything.
Yeah.
And I hate the whole like, oh, so the Shawn Michaels spot where you think someone's eliminated but they're not eliminated. I take issue with Adam Page who had a bum knee, but he still does that flip into the clothesline. He should have did the flip and then crumpled, and then he should have eliminated MJF a different way because that breaks up the continuity of him selling that knee.
Yep.
Like you're not going to do a flip if your knee's fucking broken. Just not going to happen. So that's just like once they get their agents, I know they got Malenko and they got Arn Anderson. They'll clean that shit up. Hopefully moving forward when they start being the agents for these matches. So I look forward for that. Yeah. After that, you had the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, who defeated Angelico and Jack Evans. I've been a big Jack Evans fan for about 20 years at this point. I love him. I love his stuff in Ring of Honor. I love his stuff in Mexico. He is fucking amazing. I think a lot of the modern high flyers owe a debt of gratitude to guys like Jack Evans and Amazing Red and the SATs for kind of innovating that kind of style. So, and Trent Beretta looking fucking all types of fucking jacked.
Yeah.
Like he looks huge. Chuck Taylor, he's better as a heel, by the way. I like his heel work. As a chicken shit heel, he has the body type for it. He's good mannerisms. Good enough worker to be a nice chicken shit heel. But they're not doing that right now, so, what are you going to do?
Right.
They had a 6-woman tag team match. This is probably the worst match on the card. It was all right. Like to see Asia Khan, that was cool to see, but it's like, you kind of want pass on that one. It was kind of a filler match. I think a lot of the audience are not familiar, for the exception of Asia Khan, who anyone was. So that kind of hurt it. But again, you want to call it a popcorn match, you can call it a popcorn match because it's before one of the bigger matches on the card. Yeah, I mean, up next you had Cody with Dustin. Dustin bled buckets here. Lots of drama, and if you weren't cheering up at the end of the match, you're not a fucking human being. And that's the reality of the situation. You see an appearance by Diamond Dallas Page out there for no reason. That was fun to see. But then you had the post match speech with Cody. Again, this is an old time Crockett style. If anyone was like, "Oh, fucking old school wrestling sucks, it's boring," Cody versus Dustin, it's an old school type wrestling match. Like, that's something you would see, like, 1986 Crockett, for sure.
Right, totally.
For sure. And those guys brought it. Dustin bled buckets. And, now Cody and Dustin will go on, form a tag team, and they're going to face the Bucks relatively soon. So, up next, you had the Young Bucks taking on the Lucha Brothers. Now, I love Pentagon Jr. He's probably one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers right now. I thought this match was really, really good. Curious to see how the Bucks wrestle someone wrestle guys who don't have a similar style. You know what I mean? Like, eventually, over time, because of TV and pay-per-view, these guys are going to have to wrestle, different dudes. You know what I mean? They can't wrestle lucha style guys or guys who do super indie style. Like, eventually, they're going to have to wrestle other type of, like, what are they going to do with like a team like, for example, the Revival? Are they going to be able to put together a good enough match with the Revival without trying to get all this shit in? You know what I mean?
I think so. I think it.
I mean, I hope so. I'm very, very, very hopeful of it, but we haven't seen it yet. Can the Young Bucks be a modern version of the Rock and Roll Express? Can they be a modern version of the Rockers? And they're gonna have to take those bumps, and they're gonna have to, they're gonna have to get thrown around by some of these bigger guys once they get them. Because, and we'll talk about then when we finish the whole pay-per-view. There's guys still out there, or maybe it's on to a different promotion. We'll talk about Moxley in a minute. There's guys still out there available that they could possibly get and that they probably could afford. So I'm curious to see what the Young Bucks do moving forward. Again, this is for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. So the only belt defended was a belt from AAA, which is funny to me. I find that amusing. And then the main event, Chris Jericho defeated Kenny Omega. Again, this was a singles match. This is a number one contenders match. So Jericho looking a little fluffy. Looking a little fluffy, but it's okay because he can still go. This is not a bodybuilding contest. Looking a little fluffy, but he can still go. Omega, again, my issues with him, again, he has weird facial expressions and his selling is kind of weird from time to time, but he's still able to get the emotion over in the match. So I thought that was great. And then we had the appearance by Jon Moxley as well. Dean Ambrose, who you've repeatedly on their show fucking told me you hated.
Yep.
For about 4 years at this point. So, what do you think about the new Jon Moxley? Do you like the fact that he's in trunks now instead of jeans?
I do. I enjoy that a lot. And it's one of those things that's, listening to the interviews he gave and hearing his, explanation of things, it's easy to, he didn't like the way he lived himself before either, so it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
And I really feel that he's bringing a good energy to this business, and it's it's great. And did you see his New Japan match with Juice?
I did. I love Juice Robinson though.
Yeah.
I love Juice. He's delicious. I became a Juice Robinson fan when I was at the New Japan Ring of Honor show. Like, I liked Juice before, but seeing him live, you get a really good appreciation for him. And he's someone that I would put on the top of any card for sure. And I think when it comes to a guy like Moxley, I find it weird that a lot of people on social media, they're mad at him for leaving the WWF, which makes no sense to me.
Right.
If you hate your job, you leave it. That's how life works. Oh, they made him a star, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, they did. They also had him feud with Chris Jericho over a plant and a jacket.
Yeah.
So let's not forget that, ladies and gentlemen. And do I think that doing Jon Moxley is the huge star that they need to be on TNT? He's a big star. Definitely notable. Definitely a big name. Is he the equivalent of Hulk Hogan coming from WWF to WCW? No. Let's be real, guys, for a minute. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. They're gonna need some more help. And I'm looking at the guys that currently were on this show. And I'm fine with that as a first effort, but there's still guys out there that I would actively try to pursue. And I'm not talking about like WWE guys. Of course there's WWE guys who want to pull in, right? Of course. That goes without questions. But there's still guys out there. Like what about Cowboys James Storm?
Yeah.
He would have been phenomenal on this show. I would have loved to see James Storm on this show. A Brian Cage. Phenomenal. I know he signed to Impact. Who cares? Like, let's get him over. What about Tessa Blanchard? Let's get Tessa over. What about some of these contracts in Ring of Honor are going to expire? What about the Briscoes?
Yeah.
Briscoes are fucking amazeballs. Like, they're fucking fantastic. I would love to see the Briscoes over here.
I think you could see that's a team you could see come in and give the Bucks a different look.
I mean, they have. I've seen their matches for sure.
But I think you could see, and if they do it right, an escalation where they have the Lucha Brothers feud, then they have a feud with the next team, and then you can step up and have run against the Briscoes, and you can have that. Who
I
knows?
wanted to face. I like LAX, the new LAX. I thought they were fucking fantastic. I guess is what I want to see from the Young Bucks. I want to see them get pissed, and I want to see them get in a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want them to get in a brawl. I want them to get in a fight. I like the flips. I like the Meltzer driver. I love all that shit. I want to see them getting toe to toe for just fight dudes.
My
You know what I
God.
mean? And let's see that. Let's get like I want a feud in the angle that pushes the Young Bucks to the point where like no, I'm just gonna punch you right in the face because they're likable because they seem like nice guys. They're funny and they're a little quirky and they can be kind of dickish, but they're nice guys. They're family dudes, the whole nine. I want to see them get in a fucking fight though. I want them to get pushed to that point, and then that's what I'm looking for more out of the Young Bucks, especially moving forward. I want to see them get in a fucking fight.
Well, I would say if they want to, well, provided it happens, I could see if one of them gets hurt, preferably not like severely in a match, but they could write it out. You could see them pull a thing where to get justice for my brother.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that from them going forward. And then speaking of other guys to bring in, I mean, again, I'm not talking about your WWF guys. Of course, we want to see Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. You just take your pick, take your fucking pick. Fucking Bobby Roode, fucking Velveteen Dream, fucking Rival. All you want to see them all, right? Yes, we want to see them all. But there's still very capable guys out there. I want to see. I want to see Davey Boy Smith Jr., Harry Smith. I want to see Teddy Hart. I want to see. There's so many guys fucking out there that are still available that they can get. Maybe Sammy Callahan, but I'm not really a big fan of Sammy Callahan. But they could do some stuff with Sammy if they really wanted to. And there's just guys available out there, and then fresh guys, maybe guys you haven't heard of, maybe like, oh, this guy looks fucking fantastic. Bring back a couple of maybe older talents, a couple of legends. If you're not too much, I want to like this isn't WWE trotting out fucking Undertaker and Goldberg now. I'm just talking about a couple of key guys coming in, like they had Glacier, which is fun, and they had Billy Gunn, who still looks great. I just recently watched X-Pac wrestle WrestleMania weekend. He can still go, clearly. I wouldn't mind seeing the X-Pac, come down and have a couple of matches here and there. And you want to rotate this roster, too. You want to get fresh, you want to have fresh guys coming in all the time, too. It's one thing, you don't want to have a Randy Orton situation where he's been on top for 12 years and he's stale than fucking, stale white crackers. I mean, he's just, it's like, I see Randy Orton, and I like Randy. I like his work, and I just click. I just want to change the channel because it's just like, what more can you do, bro? Like, what more can you fucking do? You're maybe seeing all scenarios come in. Who knows? Like I said, there's guys still out there available. Eddie Edwards, I know he's an Impact, but
Did
Jay,
you watch the BTE bonus episode where they showed that group from Japan? I'm sorry, from China they're working with.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the talent like that. I think going the route of we're not going to just siphon off New Japan's talent, which I think might be one of the reasons they could have a deal with them in the future, like working arrangement, because they didn't. I mean, yeah, they took the Bucks and Omega and Page, but they were doing it as a group.
Right.
Or if they were like a lot of the talent they're building around are like non-New Japan wrestlers.
Yeah.
Or not.
They were able to. New Japan was able to sign Moxley for matches too.
Yeah.
So again, this could be I know they have the relationship with Ring of Honor right now, but New Japan could have multiple relationships. And don't forget that I've been hearing things. I've been hearing good things. I haven't seen any of it, but I'm hearing good things about All Japan. They could be up on the come up. They could be on the rise. I have to go back and watch some of their shows. But I've been hearing good things about by All Japan. So maybe we see All Japan resurging as well. So you still guys that you can still have guys out in the UK and Australia. They're still around. You know what I mean? There's like I said, I can't preface. There's still guys. This doesn't have to be a final roster by any stretch of the imagination. There's enough wrestlers to go around for all your various promotions. The NWA. Like to see all this come in and do a fucking title defense on one of their shows. You know what I mean? So that's doable. That's something that can be done.
Yeah.
But there's MLW out there. There's NWA. Now there's All Elite Wrestling, and then on top of that, you have your Ring of Honor and Impact. If you still watch if you still watch Impact. I get frustrated with Impact because every time over the last 15 years, I watch a couple of weeks of Impact, I get really fucking excited, they do something, fuck it up. And it's shit again. But I think Impact needs to embrace the fact that they're in Canada and be a Canadian promotion. I would actually rebrand the whole thing as a Canadian promotion. Like, oh, we're going to be the successor of Stampede or something. You know what I mean? Just be more Canadian. Be more fucking Canadian. But yeah, I think all our points about AEW moving forward and Double or Nothing, I think they're fair criticisms, and I'm going to watch the TV show. I'm going to watch Fyre Fest. I'm going to watch Fight for the Fallen. I want to watch, All In 2. It was like All Out, right? Is it All Out and All Into? All Out. That pay-per-view as well. I'm going to watch them, and I'm going to be, fingers crossed. Hope this is good.
Yeah.
Because we desperately need an alternative. Although I do get my fill with NXT, just to be honest.
Well, here's a little buzzer preview possible. Do you think, let's say in a year from now, AEW is doing great and MLW is doing great? Do you think they could do some sort of joint program?
I mean, that would be the hope because they have MLW is run by Court Bauer, former part of WWE Creative. He ran MLW before. That's how he kind of got the job at WWE. So like he knows what he's doing, and their show was actually really good. And they have a TV deal, though it's on being network, but you can watch them on YouTube anyway, so that doesn't really matter. If you want to do something where they're all jointly promoting stuff, I mean that's very much possible. The only one that would probably be out of that would be Ring of Honor.
Right. That's
Ring of Honor. I think Ring of Honor is pissed.
Yeah, I think that's my own thing with it. I think that Ring of Honor's got some problems right now.
Is he listening? I think it's Bully Ray. That's the problem. But he's hopefully he's not listening to me, so you won't make me feel like a jackass. He might spit at me. He might take me backstage and yell at me. So
yeah.
But yeah, I do think their roster is light. Ring of Honor's TV has always been bad. 2006 Ring of Honor TV was bad. Like it's always not good. It's hard to watch. It's like I dare anyone want to watch that television show and tell me it's good. They'd be a fucking liar. And this is someone, big Ring of Honor fan. I was there when Daniel Bryan won the Ring of Honor World Championship in Long Island. I've been to 14 straight shows at the Hammerstein front row. You'll see me, especially during the Cornette era when Kevin Owens was on top. Like I was there for all of that. I was there for Davey Richards' title when I was there for Eddie Edwards' title. When I was there for Briscoe's title win. So I was there. So. But even during that period of TV was fucking bad. So, but I can see Ring of Honor being like, oh, they're doing all this shit. Like we had the Bucks and we had Cody and fuck, you know what I mean? Like how did we fuck this up?
Yeah.
But I wish them luck. I hope they do exceedingly well moving forward. I hope Do I think they're going to put fucking WWE out of business? No.
Well, I think that's the problem, too. It's like, I don't want them to put them out of business. What I hope is that it's the slap in the face that kind of wakes them up and goes, there are people out there that are doing a better job, putting a better product together than you are.
Right.
And, you're the, quote, best in the world. You have got all this talent. Where's the disconnect? And I think it was, I forget who it was, somebody said, maybe it was John Cena of all people tweeted out something to the effect of like, sometimes you need to hear the news, even if it's you. That's like you need to hear the bad news from someone to like you make realize it. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's one of those things that there's room for more than one wrestling organization. I mean, if WCW wasn't run like shit, or Impact didn't really kind of screw the pooch, there's a chance. And again, I think the mistake.
And we grew up with fucking how many different promotions?
Yeah.
WWF, Jim
Right.
Crockett, Mid-South, AWA, AWF. You want to be a jerk about it? Like your local indies. We watched fucking 12, 14 hours of wrestling a week growing up. So
Right.
I think where a lot of people had issues, to be completely honest, is that they started watching wrestling in 2004, and they never known anything different.
Right, and
This is scary.
It goes back to my issue of that. It's for me, it's a lot like entertainment in general. You can watch all different kinds of things if you want to watch. There's a show on bass fishing somewhere right now on the TV if you want to look it up and find it.
Mhm.
I could give a shit less, but it's there. And I think what we have here are people that are going to give us a product that's going to be more engaging than we have now. And like I said before, Stomping Grounds was okay. It wasn't terrible for the most
Wasn't
part.
bad. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but Monday Night Raw was not great. And again, the problem, I can tell you the number one problem I have, if it's not Vince, or the number two problem I have, is oversaturation. It's the same 15, 20 wrestlers on both shows. And now with this, quote, wild card rule, which makes no fucking sense. Because, again, if this was going to play a big part, you'd have one wild card. There's not 80 wild cards in the deck. There's
Or
one.
have a match to determine who the wild card is.
Well,
How about that?
I think it should be. I think it should be surprising. It should be a surprise.
How about booking the matches in advance so you can hype up next week's show?
Well, you know what I really hate too is I hate the whole. And again, it's their formula, and it just goes back to this is what people have been seeing for 20 years now. Wrestler A walks out, starts cut promo. Wrestler B walks out, interrupts promo. Wrestler 3, we're now having a triple threat match, or and like it's just that generic. Whereas if you establish, and I really hope AEW does this. I mean, we'll see what happens, but let us know what the matches are, and they build it up in between the week. They're gonna have time to have again a press conference to build up, next week's show.
Do you think they should have an authority figure on there?
I'm sorry?
You think they should have an authority figure on there?
No. I don't think they... again, it goes back to this has been beaten to death. It is one of the worst things that ever came out because, yeah, it worked great with Vince, but no one could do it like Vince, and it's been done to death.
So they have like a fictional board of directors somewhere to reference?
I would only do it in one capacity, and that is someone who's like a match announcer, and have him be like, "Hey, man, I want to fight this guy," and be like, "All right, we have an open slot for next week. We'll see if they're available." And maybe some third wrestler walks in and says, "What's going on?" Like, "Oh, they're gonna face them, and I'm gonna give the winner of the match a shot." And he's like, "Well, give me the match, and I'll do it."
So like an executive producer type.
Yeah, like you could do it, but I think I was thinking about this the other day when I was mowing the lawn, of course, because I was mowing the lawn, and I was thinking, what is the best way to propel a storyline if you're not going to have this heel boss who has to sit in the back room somewhere? Because again, I keep thinking about this.
That shit is lame. It's
lame, and they saw what happened with Impact and with Ring of Honor. Like when you have these promotions that do that, like New Japan doesn't do that. They don't have, they have the president come out once in a blue moon to give out a trophy or thank the fans. But we know Cody and the Bucks and the other guys are all running the show. So I don't think you want to have anyone unless you're going to have someone like
Anderson.
Yeah, like
neutral.
Just be the neutral. Like, don't fuck with me. Just get the match done. Because the thing is, I think one of the things that Arn has that you could take advantage of is the mouth, man. Arn was always a great promo. So you could have him come out there and play the Bill, I'll say Bill Watts, but like
Bill Watts would be the guy, yeah.
Right, like you could have him play the hard ass and all you have to, I know he's a back problems. Have him fuck one guy up once if you need to, but just have him be like, you don't gotta mess with me. Beating me up is gonna get you a fine and nothing else. But if you want to beat me up, go beat this guy up first, and then he brings in whoever, But I think you could maybe Arn Anderson's gonna be that guy because I think you're looking for someone who can talk on his toes, smart, a beloved figure in the business. Credible. People, he brings so much credibility to that back room, and the WWF just discarded him. And I know it's a business and that's how it works, but this is their opportunity. I'm just saying, this is a total fantasy booking here. But if I had to say, find someone to be the mouthpiece that's not going to be a heel boss, it's got to be Arn.
No more heel bosses. That shit's fucking lame.
Yes, thanks.
Let's go back to Jack Tunney, please.
Yeah, right.
Jack Tunney or fucking Bill Watts or even J.J. Dillon.
So I want to just kind of, the whole thing about Raw is, it's the same cast of characters. You have so much depth. They have this stupid 24/7 thing, which I know is catching on because it's like a ridiculous thing.
Yeah, but none of those guys are gonna become world champion now.
Right, and that's the thing.
You
I'm thinking
wrecked
about.
them.
This is the kiss of death. It's like I was watching this thing the other day. It was like a YouTube video. It was all these clips like, here's Adam Page, or I'm sorry, Adam Page as a EMT in this skit. Like, why would you do that? Like, not that I'm saying like it's help your career in the ring. Like, just having this stupid stuff like chasing this 24/7 belt around, which is essentially just the R-Truth belt. That's all. And
Which
here's
is
the thing.
fine. We love Truth. I'm glad that he's doing more on television.
Right, but
And
here's
it's fine. The concept in general is fine.
right.
It's just you got to really pick and choose who you're going to put in those spots because I don't think they're ever going to be recoverable, and they're not
Right.
going to be main event stars.
Right.
So that's the reality. Like R-Truth, I love him, but he ain't winning a WWE championship anytime fucking soon.
No, and
He's almost 50. You know what I mean? So he's like, it ain't happening for him. And if you want to take a couple of guys, like you got to have, mid-card guys. They're there for a reason. If this is the way to get Zack Ryder wins on television, okay, let's do that.
right.
Well, you're not going to have Daniel Bryan win this fucking championship. It would fucking kill him.
Right, and that's the thing I keep thinking about. This is the thing where it's, is this belt going to give anybody credibility? Nope.
No.
It's just a joke title. It's a comedy belt, and
Yeah, because anyone remember the old hardcore championship. It wasn't like anyone came to prominence after holding that fucking belt. Who was the only one? Maybe Van Dam, maybe. But that was more. He was more associated to ECW and the ECW ties because he had that belt. But I don't think anyone else. I don't think Al Snow became a more credible, main event star because he was hardcore champion and Hardcore Holly the same thing. So, and they did have Hardcore Holly did have main event matches with Brock Lesnar, but I think that was much later. It took him a while, but even him, he wasn't on top. So
yeah,
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, we can sit here and bash Raw, WWE forever, and we find ourselves saying the same things over and over again. But to recap, personally, I feel the issues with the current issues with Raw right now is lame storylines, heels have no heat, baby faces that no one cares about. The production is trash. Fucking too many crowd shots, too many shaky cams. You hear what they're doing now where there's no wrestling during commercial breaks?
yeah.
It's like every match, like there's a weird 2 out of 3 falls thing. I don't know what the fuck that's about. Fuck that noise. And the fact that they should be in a boom period and are not tells you that there's big time issues going on. Understand this: the roster's too big. They need to cut it by at least a third.
Well, I actually
Sure.
saw a great spreadsheet on Reddit that broke down all the talent that you see on each, according, to what's out there. And what I keep thinking of is what we're seeing with John Moxley now. Could we see that with a Cedric Alexander or Buddy Murphy or, any number of guys who are just toiling and, to get to the whole, Seth Rollins made the comment about, who in the world is as good as I am, and Will Ospreay was like, I am, and they were going back and forth. And someone was making the argument that, well, you should take pride in your work, your boss likes that. I'm like, well, okay, but if I'm the top guy in the WWE and I have some sway, shouldn't you really push for some better storylines than fucking Baron Corbin? Like, it's been done to death. He's been on TV too much. And I know Baron Corbin plays the heel, and he's like, oh, well, I'm on TV and you're not. No, it's like, yeah, but you're shit on TV right now. Like, you should go away, like, take a break and refresh that guy somehow.
Do a Jinder Mahal, come back jacked, and we'll give you a push.
Right, like, have him leave for, like, 6 months, 7 months, get in great shape, lose the fucking shirt, rebrand, re-image the guy.
The reason that he has the shirt is because his body's bad.
Yeah, well.
I mean, he's a heck of an athlete, and he can go. But it's not even like I'd rather him be a King Kong Bundy or a Vader, but he's like what the world calls skinny fat.
Right.
Like he's just not toned up. And maybe he doesn't have the genetics for it, but You know, he looks like a waiter in that shirt. It's weird. Like he looks like a modern IRS. Like what's happening?
And I really think the problem they have here is the repetitive storylines, the consistent blurring of like I remember Kofi came out on Monday Night Raw. I'm like, why the fuck is Kofi out there now? Like it should just be one wild card per show. If you're gonna do it, keep it to one. Because constantly bringing out the same guys, all you've done is made a 5-hour episode of Raw. And three's too fucking much now.
Right.
Like you're making a 5-hour episode.
And you're taking time that could be dedicated to getting the next guys over.
Right.
So in a year and a half, the guys on top, you can recycle them and bring them down the card and bring these new guys up. Instead of like, hey, we're going to throw EC3 in the 24/7 division. Good luck.
Ugh.
He's someone that you had penciled in as a future star.
Do you remember the episode where they came out and told the fans you're going to be making the shots and it's your and blah blah and we're going to give you a new product? Like that was the come to Jesus moment or the intervention. Like that was the crash landing rock bottom, and it got worse. And I think it's because they've need to do something drastic. And I don't know if it's quite the level of, remember the time Nexus came in and destroyed everybody and everyone was like, holy shit, then they ruined an angle?
I wouldn't even go that drastic. I would start the show in the middle of a match. No entrances. Bell rings. We're in a match. Go. Just to see what would happen. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, we have the intro for Raw. We go to the ring. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, or faced off in the middle of the ring. Bell rings. Match. Just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Just, it doesn't take much. Just, you have to tweak it. You have to play with it. You have to change the format. It has to be interesting. Like, oh, what's happening here? Where's the 20-minute promo in the beginning of the fucking show? Oh, what's happening?
If you watched NXT, they did it was like a 5-minute setup. They had, what's his face? Adam Cole and the guy, I don't know who did ever come out, and they cut a quick promo, got interrupted because he had mentioned him, Velveteen Dream, who was then interrupted by Matt Riddle, but it was more of a quick setup. It wasn't like dragged out. And they said, it's a match later tonight. It wasn't, and we're going to do that match right now. There's so much wrong over there. And what gets me is it's like someone saying, well, your company's really shitty right now. They're treating people terribly. But you're the number one company in the world. Like, how can they treat your people so poorly? Yeah, well, we have great products, dude. Well, I'm not saying the people are bad. I'm just saying, why is it so fucked up over there?
There's no reason for Seth to even comment. Period.
Right. What he should have done.
He should be above the fray.
He should have said, one top dog to another, maybe someday,
Let's say something like, we'll see who's number one if I ever get you in the ring. Period.
Right.
Walk away. That's it. It's over. Then you have, is Ospreay coming to WWE? Is Seth leaving? He's like, I'm going to get you in the ring one day. I'm going to prove who the best is. That's it. No, nothing else is needed. And I think it's a bad look for Seth. As they keep on going, it becomes a bad look for Ospreay as they keep on having this discussion. They should just stop, please. For the love of God, please stop. It goes back to wrestling Twitter in general, which is a horrible, horrible place, and I don't recommend anyone to go there unless you're following me on Twitter. And then I'll post pictures of SD Jones. And just won't
Special
be
delivery, baby.
Special delivery. I think for me, I'm a crazy person, so that's why the WWE wouldn't hire someone like me. Because the first thing I would do, no more live Raws. Everything gets taped now. It's like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah. Everything gets taped now. No more live interviews, nothing. Because then I can control the product. I can control the matches. I can control what's seen on television. I can edit it the way I need it to be edited. I can get those promos exactly the way I need them to be. I can change crowd reactions if necessary. I can edit out ridiculous chants that hijack my show.
Yeah.
I can change everything in like 3 days. I can probably do it in 2 days. I can edit matches. I can need to show exactly what I need it to be. That's how it used to be done. Like you go back and watch old episodes of Superstars, those things are slick. Those things are produced very slick. And I would do the same thing with Raw. Who cares about spoilers? Not for nothing, spoilers can help you because if you get a spoiler saying this was an amazing match, they're gonna come watch your fucking TV show now. You gotta use spoilers the other way.
My favorite moments, or one of my favorite moments of the night of the Stomping Grounds, was the fans chanting, "This is awful."
Yeah.
Like, and then if you have this, Michael Cole, "Why are the fans really giving it to Baron Corbin?" Yes, they're booing Baron Corbin. That's exactly
I would do all that. Other than pay-per-views, everything be done in post-production. No more live commentary, no more nothing. Because you need to control the show. And if I have a Monday Night Raw, and okay, we tape it, and on Tuesday I look at the show, and I'm like, this show is awful. But with a couple of edits, I can make the show passable. If the show is good, with a couple edits, I can make it great. If the show is great, I can make it the best show ever. You know, it gives you a different mindset of what you're presenting on television. You're not presenting fucking schlop week after week after week. We have promos that connect, and you get the level of emotion necessary out of them because now they're done backstage and not in front of a crowd. You don't have guys chanting CM Punk at your guys, getting them rattled. You know, you can like, oh, that promo sucked, do it again. That promo sucked, do it again. That promo sucked, do it again. Until you get it exactly the way you need it. If I was AEW, I would consider that as well. Now, I know you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube again, but
yeah,
how much would it hurt if those shows are fucking taped? Would it kill you? That's the thing you gotta like. Fucking try it 1 week. Like like okay. New Year's, right? Fucking put it on a taped Raw. See what happens. Over a live Raw. We're giving the guys vacation. We're gonna do 2 Raws this one night, and we're gonna do a second Raw. I'm gonna edit this fucking show. I swear to God, you give me give me 4 hours of footage for Raw. I can get it down to 3 hours. You give me inserts for promos in it and vignettes, and we do fucking commentary and post production. I guarantee you, I can produce a better show. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Without a fucking, and it sounds fucking crazy because it is crazy, but drastic times call for drastic measures. You know, you gotta fix those shows. Like if the show doesn't flow right, we change the match order, everything. It don't fucking matter. But you know, I'm a crazy lunatic person that would do something like that, and I'm surprised. You know, I don't know what their contractual obligations are to the USA Network. Like if that show has to be fucking live, because
right.
there is a value of live programming because it's supposed to be must see TV. That's why sports commands such a high price on these networks because everything else you can DVR, you can stream it later, blah 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 blah. Right, and there's a value, an intrinsic value of live television. I get that, but if you're gonna fucking tell me, oh, we got 1.5 million viewers, then that's not helping anybody. So I say fucking try it. Try it. You know, do 6 weeks of tape television, see if that doesn't move the needle. And do what I suggest. No more interviews in front of the crowd. Change the look of the show. Start off with the match. No more shaky cams. No more crowd reaction shots. You know, we'll take it from there and see what happens. But you know, they got to do something. That's kind of the point. Like they have to do something. It's very important. All right, guys. So we are officially out of time. So.